Hey Ro peoples, this is Sonic732 and welcome back to another impression video. Now, today in impressions we're going to be taking a look at the newest Mortal Kombat game that has everyone excited. Mortal Kombat X, or 10, or however you want to pronounce it. I don't know. It's the 10th game in the series. X is Roman numeral for 10. I don't care how you pronounce it as long as it's a new Mortal Kombat next gen. Let's get into it. So I got my copy early for Mortal Kombat 10. Don't ask how I did it. I have legit and fully legal ways. So yeah, I managed to get a copy early, and this weekend I had some time, a lot of time to actually play it, and get my opinions, study everything really carefully. And on today's impressions, I'm gonna be talking about whether or not I think Mortal Kombat X is worth it, or is it just another pile in disappointment, which is 2015. So let's see. So where to start with Mortal Kombat? So in terms of fighting games, Mortal Kombat is the one that mostly pops in my mind whenever I think of fighting games that made its mark on the gaming industry. But in terms of the fighting games that I played a lot when I was a kid, Mortal Kombat really isn't one of them. I mean, I remember I had Deadly Alliance for the GameCube, but I never really played that. Like, back as a kid, I was mostly, for me, my fighting game choices as a kid were mostly Street Fighter and Soul Calibur 2. I freaking love Soul Calibur 2 so much. But yeah, so those are mainly my two fighting game choices. Mortal Kombat was just a series I've known about. I've seen the movies, which sucked. But I never really, how would you say, yeah, I never really got into Mortal Kombat. And then a few years ago, around I believe 2011, I slept over at my cousin Josh's house, and he got the newest Mortal Kombat game, which was MK9. And me and him decided to play it that weekend, and we loved it. We really, really loved it. The combat was great. The fatalities were bloody as ever. And I kind of got back. I wouldn't say I became a Mortal Kombat fan. I got interested in the series, but I never picked up. Crap! I never picked up MK9 myself. So when the sequel was announced, MK10, I got really, really hyped because between MK9 and 10, Injustice came out, and Injustice was a really damn good fighting game. So I got hyped because NetherRealm so far is showing that they know how to handle a fighting game franchise. And especially with Mortal Kombat and Injustice under their belts, because they're both de facto fighting games, I want to see how MK10 will stack up to that. And yeah. So I'm not gonna say what happened or like what I think of the game now, but I'll let this impressive video speak for itself. So let's start off with the story. Now, kind of a weird place to start off with, especially in a fighting game, but in MK9, the story was actually really good, basically taking place between the events of the first three Mortal Kombat games, now back on like the arcade machines. But at MK10, they decided to go for original story. Whether this story was good or not, you guys will be the judge of that, because to me, personally, I thought the story was actually pretty good up until the end, though. But yeah, I'll get more on that later. So basically, this is the story. So after the events of MK9, a new villain rose up named Shinnok. Shinnok was eventually sealed inside an amulet and was stopped forever. Or so it seemed. Basically, in the outer world, where all those supernatural beings hail from, there's now a power struggle where whoever has possession of the amulet will become the ruler of the outer world. So right now, you have figures like Melina, who has the amulet in possession and is technically the princess or queen of the outer world. You have a new character, Kolo Khan, who is a sun god, I believe is a sun god, or is a god worshipped by his people, who wants control of the outer world and will do whatever he can to to get the amulet of Shinnok. You have Kano, who is a mercenary who works for Melina. But yeah, you have all these characters now in a power struggle, which is actually really cool. And then now you have Earth Special Forces. So basically, during the I'm just saying right now, the story takes place between 25 years between MK9 and MK10. So basically, 25 years after MK9 ended, you had characters like Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade. They married. They had a daughter named Casey Cage, or Cassie Cage, however you want to pronounce her name. Jax had a daughter named Jackie Briggs or whatever. Yeah, Jacqueline or Jackie Briggs. So you have like all these new characters. The character Kenshi has a son named Takeda. But yeah, so all these characters have kids, and it's a really nice addition seeing all these new characters. Considering that, well, for the longest time we haven't really gotten a new Mortal Kombat character. I'm not sure though if we haven't got. I don't even know. I shouldn't really be saying that. But seeing all these new characters and new faces, it's refreshing. And most people would argue that but these new characters took slots from the characters that have been a staple in the series since like the first Mortal Kombat, like Shang Tsung, Jade. I don't think Jade was in the first Mortal Kombat. But all those characters. So people can argue that these new characters take the slots away. Personally, I really do like a lot of these new characters. what was this guy named? Kung Jin. Yeah, I think this guy's name Kung Jin. He's so far my favorite character in the game, and he's a newbie. But yeah. So basically, you have all these new characters who get involved with the Outer World Civil War, and they get involved, and I'm not sure if I should actually. No, I'm gonna spoil this right now. But yeah. So basically, Shinnok gets released from the amulet. Casey Cage takes him down. Some characters die, but yeah, that stuff happens. And yeah, that's basically the story of a nutshell of Mortal Kombat X. Now, like with Mortal Kombat 9, I should really be using this in the supply term, but most of the characters in the roster are mainly used out of complete nowhere in the story. Like there could be times when you're fighting some guy and all of a sudden a character could just pop out of nowhere. Like I think Reptile came out of nowhere in a forest area towards like the end of the game. But yeah, he just came out of nowhere. You had to fight him. Then the new character Farah and Tor, or Tor and Farah, I forgot what they're called. But they came out of nowhere. But yeah, it's kind of weird though, just seeing like all these characters that they didn't really use during the story come out of nowhere, and some of them look really really cool. Like I think his name is Aaron Black or Aaron something. The guy looks like John Marston from Red Dead Redemption. He looks like a really really cool character, but they don't really go into his backstory. Now I know people will argue that that's what the comics are for, but they couldn't have shown like a little bit of his backstory in MK10. Like very very little, like a little hint of something, because they only use him just for fights. They only use him for story development, just nothing, just fights. And that could be fine for some people, but I want a little more substance to this game. I want a reason why we're fighting them, rather than just them just being a mook of the day. But yeah. So most of the characters underused. The final boss, I should be saying this right now, isn't as challenging as not Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn. I remember that Sunday was fucking Shao Kahn. Ugh, crap! That guy was so hard to beat in MK9. But the boss, I believe his name is like not Ultra Shinnok, something Shinnok. He's not as hard as Shang Tsung, which I'm glad for, because Shang Tsung was just ball bustingly hard. But this guy will go cheap with the strategies. But yeah. So you defeat Shinnok, everything's good and fine and dandy. So it seems where they decide to cut the story short and say, screw you, Ed Boon, we need a sequel, and they throw in sequel bait at the end, where it shows Raiden holding, I want to say it's, I forgot whose head it was. It's been a while. It's been like 2 days since I beat the story. But yeah, it shows Raiden holding someone's head, and then I think the camera pans to like Liu Kang Katana, and I was like, really? This is where it ends? Sequel bait? They couldn't have expanded on the story? They couldn't have done more with the story? I mean, I'm gonna say this right now. The story, mostly the ending of the story, was probably the biggest disappointment I have ever had in the game, because they could have done so much with the story. There was a lot of points where I was like, okay, you could have expanded on that. There could have been more of this. You could have used some of these characters which you never really even used in the story in here, and then the ending was like, okay, why did you have to cut it out? Really, was Warner Bros. Really this money hungry? I mean, Mortal Kombat 10 was going to sell like hotcakes. You didn't have to rub it in people's faces saying, we need a sequel, so we're just going to throw in this ending sequel bait. But yeah, that's not the only thing that made me mad, though. So basically, throughout the entire game, Quan Chi, he's back. And, Quan Chi is the guy that has all the souls. So since a lot of characters in MK9 died, like, Stryker, Cabal, Sindel, Liu Kang, Katana, Kung Lao, Quan Chi has the ability to bring back their souls and use them to fight. And that's fine and dandy, but you see the characters. You see Cabal, Stryker, Sindel. You see them, even Nightwolf. You see them in the story, and yet you can't play as them, which honestly is probably the biggest what the hell moment in the game, especially since the roster is smaller. The roster in MK10 is smaller than MK9. That is the most backwards thing I have ever had to say in my life. When you do a sequel, you want to do everything you can to expand on what you have. You don't take out characters because they're not part of the story, or they're gonna be future DLC. I don't want to hear that BS argument where it's like, oh, you can't play them now because they're gonna be a DLC. I don't care. You see them in the story. You fight some of them. You fight Sindel. She has her moveset. You just can't unlock her or play as her. It's so stupid. I mean, really, Warner Brothers, are you really this money hungry are you this hungry for money? You even release a combat pack with like 5 fighters for like $25 or 15 or 25. That's insane. You don't do that. You really don't do that. It's a trend I don't want to see happen in 2015. And so far, with developers like EA with the Battlefield Hardline, something with that, you got like it's just and now with Mortal Kombat 10, I mean, really, did they really need this DLC? Like, come on, are you serious? I don't want Sindel, Cabal, Striker, Nightwolf. I don't want them to be DLC. They should have been the game in general. Even Baraka is taken out of the cast, and you fight him in the story too. That's like the most backwards thing I've seen. Holy crap! Capcom is even better with this. You know, at least they hit it on the disc. And with this, it's like it's out. It's kind of obvious it's gonna be DLC. Like, it's just so weird. Warner Brothers, really? How could you let NetherRealm? How could you let them do that to you? You were one of the only developers out there who, you know, still stayed true to what game development was back in like the early late 90s, early 2000s. You were doing so good. You had games like Injustice, MK9, where you give us so many more characters, and the DLC was just they just add to the experience. With this, it's like they took out the characters at the last minute and said, we're gonna release this as future DLC. No one will know, and you know, people will still buy it because, you know, you saw them in story mode, so you want to play as them, right? That's just BS. I'm not gonna pay anything for these characters that, you know, I see in story mode, and I had to fight. I don't want to pay money for that. I should unlock them right up ahead. And, you know, they even give us Goro as a pre-order bonus. Like, you know, people will be like, oh, you know, that's good though because you're getting a character, but it's a character that you don't even see in the story. They should have. It's just been like, it's just so backwards and random. Why would NetherRealm do that with the DLC or the characters? But, you know, yeah, other than that DLC rant, you know, yeah, the cutscenes are really, really good. The cutscenes, you see the improvement that Next Gen has done for the cutscenes in Mortal Kombat compared like Injustice or MK9. So, you know, the cutscenes are really, really good. And there's even QuickTime events in them, which, you know, is something I never thought I'd say about a Mortal Kombat game. That, you know, you have QuickTime events in a Mortal Kombat game. But, you know, yeah, the QuickTime events aren't really that hard. Mostly requires one button press, but, you know, they're pretty cool to watch. You know, they're fun. And yeah, other than that, that's really it for story mode. I can't really talk about story mode. That was basically the main reason why I didn't really enjoy the story mode a lot. Because that BS ending and the fact that a lot of characters you find in story mode are probably going to be DLC in the future. You even fight Rain. You fight Rain. And he's DLC. No, he's not even DLC. He's not even in the game. And you fight him in the story. You even fight this new character called Tanya, which you can't play as either. What the hell? What went wrong, NetherRealm? So many characters you find in the story that you can't play as. At least in MK10, no, MK9, you at least fought that cat guy, Goro, and Shao Kahn, which, you know, made sense. You weren't able to play as them because, you know, they're boss characters and, you know, they'd be broken. But this is like 5, 6 characters in the main story you can't even play as, and they have their movesets. They could be legit characters. It's just so weird. It's so backwards. This DLC thing is really getting out of hand. And so far, I really hope future AAA games aren't going to follow the same trend. Because, you know, if they follow this, console gaming or gaming in general, it's just going to go downhill. Like, really. Alright, either way, though, I'm done with the story. Okay, yeah, the story itself is pretty good. It's just, I hate the fact that a lot of characters you find in the story are probably going to be DLC. And the ending with the sequel bait, that was complete another BS. And that, you know, they could have expanded on the story because each chapter is only 4 fights. I'm not even joking. Each chapter is legit 4 fights. And to top it off, there's about 12 or 13 chapters. Well, in MK9, there was about 15. Yeah, let that sink in a lot. And also mention the fact that the roster MK10 is smaller than the roster MK9. Now, I'm not counting DLC characters like Goro. I'm not counting that. That's how small the roster. Actually, not even small. Like, I think MK9 had about like 28. MK10 has like 23 or 24, 25 around that. You know, it's not a lot. It's not like that far behind, but still, I mean, it's kind of a backwards thing to do for a sequel. But you know, okay, so I'm done with the story. Okay, I really went a lot for the story. Now it's time to talk about the gameplay, where the game really, really does shine. So basically, the combat formula is pretty much taken right out of MK9 and Injustice, but tweaked a little bit. I could technically classify this as a more bloodier Injustice, because basically everything that Injustice had is back in MK10, except they expand that and make it a lot more better. So basically the combat's the same. You have your punch buttons, the kick buttons. You could chain combos together like an MK9, but you can't get too combo savvy, but you could chain combos, pull off some really really cool stuff. It's like in Injustice, you could use the environment to your advantage, where like you see like a lamppost or like a stoplight hanging up, what's it called, hanging on top of the stage. You could jump up and grab it. And one improvement that they made to this is, honestly, I really do like this, that there's a meter, so you could grab stuff. So you can't just go all like, you can't go all crazy with grabbing items and just spam that. You have to wait for the meter to recharge. I mean, the meter recharges fast, but for that little moment where the meter has to recharge, you could potentially be screwed by like a really good player. So yeah, you could use the stage to your advantage. You can't do that thing in Injustice though, where like you kick the opponent off the stage and transition to like a different part of the stage. You can't do that, and I'm kind of sad you can't do it, because that was actually a pretty cool thing back in not Injustice. But I'm at least happy. But it's a change that I could get down with, or I wouldn't be too butthurt over. But yeah, you could use stage 2 environments. Combat's a lot more fluent. It's really really fun. Fatalities. The one thing that everyone loves about Mortal Kombat is back. Some of them are really dumbed down. Some of them are actually really cool. I still think that it's kind of a mixed bag though, because some of the fatalities are really cool and really inventive. Some of them are as simple as just sticking a pole down someone's throat and electrocuting them. But yeah, fatalities are back. X-rays from NK9 are also back, and they're still as bloody and gory as ever, and you could hear the bones crunch when you hit them. Oh yeah, it's just so beautiful and just so satisfying pulling an X-ray off of somebody. You had the meat on the bottom where you could like counter your opponents, pull off some really good combos, pull off the X-ray, stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. Brutalities are back, which I don't really know how to explain brutalities the best, because like I said, I'm not really a big Mortal Kombat fan, so I can't explain how brutalities work. But I pull off a few, and yeah, I did that. I don't know what happened. Stage fatalities, I don't think are back. I don't know. I haven't really tested it out yet, but I don't think stage fatalities are back. Babalities are completely gone. Animalities, well, yeah, I don't think they were coming back ever. And friendships, I don't think they're coming back either. So yeah, they're not in the game. No, basically back to like a similar Mortal Kombat mode called Tower. So basically, yeah, so Tower's back, and back and as punishing as ever. Where there's a tower, there's a certain amount of opponents you gotta go through all the opponents and fight the boss character. For this one, it's Shinnok, and then its final form, which is still BS. I hate you so much, Shinnok. But yeah, so Tower's back. You have this new thing called Living Towers, where basically they give you like a handicap, and then you gotta go through a tower with that handicap and still beat it. And yeah, Towers are back. Test Your Luck is back. Training is back. The Crypt from MK9 is back, where it's like a first-person like dungeon crawler, where you walk around, you spend your coins, and buy some stuff. Yeah, that's back. It's cool. You get some concept art, some new character costumes, easier way to perform fatalities, stuff like that. Online is also yeah, and it's really really fun. It is so fun. You don't know how many people I've destroyed with Kung Jin. It is so satisfying. So if you see me online one of these days, go a couple of rounds with me. I'll be Kung Jin. I will wreck you. But yeah, so yeah, that's in. What else was I gonna say? So yeah, that's real. I don't think. Oh yeah, another cool thing you could do with MK10 is also you could choose a faction for online. So basically, you have all these factions. The two I remember off the top of my head are the White Lotus, only because of Avatar, and Special Forces because that's the one I chose. So you could choose a faction. As you fight online, you could perform challenges where boost your faction's rating like globally, which it's cool. It really is a cool idea. But I don't really play online. I don't even have the game in my possession right now. I lent it to Josh. But yeah. So yeah, so right now that's basically where my opinion stands on Mortal Kombat, or my impression. Maybe it might get better. I mean, personally, I think the game is really fun. It is really really stupid fun, just doing all those like combos and fatalities. But the fact that they had to cut quarters short to release a story that could have been so good, but they had made it sequel bait, and that characters from the story who weren't even boss characters are probably gonna be future DLC. It really just ruined my taste for the game. I still don't think the game is bad. I do not think it's bad. But with those things, it's a really big disappointment that Warner Brothers made NetherRealm, a company that's so far been doing really good with that kind of stuff, really take out characters probably for DLC and made the story this like lackluster. It could have been really, really good. It could have been so far one of the greatest games of 2015 so far. But you know that DLC thing and the fact of cutting quarters, it's really stupid that when companies make you do that. Which is why I seriously hope that EA does not mess up Battlefront. If they do, I am screwed. I just lose. I lost all faith in EA. But yeah. So that's my opinion for Mortal Kombat 10. Should you buy it? Yeah, I'd still buy it. I mean, if you get over the fact that the story isn't really that great, and there's a lot of characters that are probably gonna be for DLC. Well, if you get past all that and just enjoy what Mortal Kombat is mostly used for, bloody and gory combat, you will definitely find some enjoyment. If you're like me, you mostly just try to forget the story even existed and just go for the combat. So, yep, that's my 2 cents on the Mortal Kombat 10. Overall, not a bad game, just a kind of disappointing one in terms of, marketing practices for the game. And yeah, so if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, do you want, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So, peace out, peoples, and bye-bye.